This is going to be a time-lapse demonstration drawing for the reflective and transparent objects. And in this drawing, what I'm doing is a vase that's transparent and has water in it, and a small dish that's chrome and is highly reflective, sitting on some striped fabric. The main thing to watch for here is how the drawing gets put together. So here I'm using the construction methods to build this symmetrical vase. I'm going to get a T-square here. It's like a ruler with a T on the end to make sure my lines are parallel and straight so that I can build this vase as symmetrically as possible. I'm minding the ellipses as well as I construct these objects. A major thing to watch for in this drawing is moving from general to specific. And what I mean by that is not getting lost in the details and the small stuff and the little incidentals before you've got the big overall relationships down. And so hopefully you'll pick up on that in this drawing, that I'm drawing things out, I'm structuring them out, but then I'm going to start treating the values especially in just big, broad strokes, like this general area is dark and this general area is light, before heading towards shiny stuff and specific things. This drawing is done with a combination of vine charcoal and charcoal pencil, which I would suggest that you do with yours. This is on white paper, so you'll see the kind of value range that you can get out of white paper. Gray paper or toned paper can make this a little easier, make your values a little easier to keep track of. So you might consider using that as well. There I am laying out all the stripes, and I decided I didn't want the table to run off the side, so I turned those stripes downwards and gave myself a table edge just to give some depth. There on the left side, it seemed like it was getting pretty flat. So this is vine charcoal, these elliptical shapes for the cast shadows, and just filling them in generally. Things aren't getting specific yet. So now I'm starting to differentiate a little bit. You can see in that big vase, there's some lighter area in the lower part and some darker area in the lower part. I'm getting started in the general relationships, but still not going for specifics. Not being as patient as I could be with these stripes. The more patient that you are with them, the better off they're going to look. You can see there, just kind of giving that charcoal back to the page and then coming in with a pencil to be more specific. Here I'm going to be darkening the dark stripes and darkening the light stripes, and I'll bring an eraser in and erase the white stripes out in the light. That will give me my sense of light and shadow, that shift from light to shadow. It's important when you do stripes into shadow that your dark stripes get darker as they go into the shadow, and that your light stripes get darker as they go into shadow as well. It's both of them getting darker as they move into that shadow that makes it look like a shadow. If your white stripe stays white all the way into the shadow, it's not going to look like a shadow. Now I'm starting to get those distorted stripes reflecting in this vase. They're subtle and they're not going to be overly strong towards the end, but they do need to show up. Right now this vase feels really dark, and so I'm going to bring in this background charcoal, and this is a compressed charcoal stick because I want that background to go as dark as I can get it. And it's going to make that dark vase all of a sudden seem much, much lighter in value. So I'd suggest at some point putting that background context in, whether yours is dark black or not. Putting it in helps you decide, am I in fact too dark on this vase? And when I do this, I realize, oh my goodness, the vase is actually quite light. I could go a lot darker. Now in this vase, it's just a project of looking at the shapes, trying to figure out maybe what's causing the shapes so that I can edit some of the little stuff out that doesn't matter and really develop the surface of this thing. Now I have the general relationships down. I need to look at the different things that's happening to the light and the context, reflection, refraction. All of that is what I'm thinking about as I go through filling these shapes in and erasing out parts of the light, putting some shapes in darker, and so on. Erasing out some of that light information using a little bit of white stick. Your new pastel is really good at this, adding those little hits of highlight. If your eraser can't get you back to white paper, I'd highly recommend using a little piece of new pastel to get you there. It'll give you nice highlights as you see happening there. And I admit I'm using those highlights just a little bit early. Normally what I would suggest to do is wait on those towards the end, because chances are I'm going to work around them and near them, and I might end up smearing them out anyway, so it can be a wasted effort sometimes to put them in too soon. There's that light getting focused at the bottom of the cast shadow of that big vase. You can see me occasionally smear things out with my finger if I feel like the values are getting too far apart from each other or things are getting a little too obnoxiously textured. I'll kind of smear that texture out with the idea that I'm going to build on top of it with more clarity. So you don't want to just be smearing arbitrarily and randomly. You want to do it when it calls for it. And it's also admittedly kind of a stylistic choice. Bringing in some of those darks into this reflected dish. We've got the stripes of the fabric reflected in it. Little cast shadow on it. There's quite a bit going on, but if you trust the shapes that you see and you can break apart why you're seeing those shapes, then your decisions get a lot better. If you darken the vertical edges of a table, so like the tablecloth as it goes from being horizontal on the top to vertical on the sides, if you darken those sides because the light source presumably is up above, it can add a sense of depth there. So You notice the white stripes get darker as they hit that front edge. So do the dark stripes. That helps give a sense of drop off there. Okay, and that'll do it for that one.